Hey there, how you doing? Michelle with Treecat here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're catching this. I hope you're doing well. If you're new here, my name's Michelle, and I'm with Treecat, the only cross-listing, automation, inventory management tool for online sellers, resellers, people who sell online. That or pay as you sell model. Pay as you sell. You do not pay anything until your item sells, and Treecat helps you make that sale with one of its cool features, like cross-listing, delist relisting, changing the backgrounds to all white, sharing on Poshmark. Um, so we're here today with Treecat Chat. We do this every week, talking about all the stuff that's happening in the world of e-commerce, and there's always something to talk about every week. It's constantly changing. It's fully a dynamic space, and it's fun. It's fun to be an online seller. It's fun to keep up with what's happening in the world of online selling. And well, we're just here to talk about it. So, what's going on with you guys this week? I hope you guys are all getting ready for a fun week going into Thanksgiving. I can't wait. It's my favorite. I would say it's my favorite holiday of the year. What about you? Yeah, I think a lot of people enjoy Thanksgiving because we got all the yummy stuff to eat, and we get a little. It's like our first kind of like break of the year, and it's fun. So, but it can be stressful too because maybe you're still trying to work and you're still trying to do all your things for your e-commerce stores, and it gets to be a lot during the holidays because you have like a lot of just stuff to do, like parties and get-togethers with families and just stuff like that. But try to have a little time to yourself to chillax. That's what I'm doing. I started doing yoga, and it is really awesome. And so we're going to keep this short and sweet so I can get to yoga at 10. So what do we have to talk about today? Well, gosh, what do we not have to talk about? So much going on. Where to start? I think that if you let Mr. Treecat, if you can share my screen here. We had a couple of things happen this week that were kind of major. So you may have seen a notification like this for a short time, and that was when Cloudflare had an outage. And so this was kind of at the level of when we had the Amazon cloud outage last month. It affected quite a few companies out there, like 20 to 30% of the internet essentially, and they were quickly able to fix it. But there was a short time when Treecat was not up and running, and so this is our public statement. Earlier this week we experienced a short temporary service interruption caused by and wide infrastructure issue affecting multiple major platforms and providers. And during this window, some of our actions, actually, you couldn't even get onto our site. So you couldn't sync, you couldn't cross list, you couldn't do any background processes. And it was outside of our control, of course, but it was resolved quickly. And we have systems to get you back up and running once there's an outage. So that all your data, is there, and all your data gets synced as soon as you're back online. We're sorry about this. We know that this kinds of disruptions can be frustrating, but we are always there to reach. If you need to reach out to ask what's going on, we are always here for that. And we did get a lot of people who reached out to us. And just so you know, we will never contact you via an SMS. We will never contact you via WhatsApp. We will never contact you via social media to talk about outages or things like that are happening. So if you have not already done so, make sure that you have not blocked our notifications email. Our notifications email is noreply@treecat.io. And we send you these notifications via email to the email that you set up when you set up your Treecat. And we even have specified that you could set up a different email for notifications. So make sure you are able to access no reply, because not only do we contact you, we also have pop-ups, and I'll get to that in a second. But I just want to make sure that you all know that it's really important, that you have us, these certain emails that we send to you not going to your spam, because they also send really important notifications about your sales. So like, for example, this is a sales notification, and it's really important that you receive your sales notification. So if if you want to make sure that you have no reply at treecat.io going to your inbox, it's really important, because that's how you confirm, oh, this item just sold. This is an example of a sales notification. And for example, this person, there was a problem with their local proxy not working. So they would have received this and they would have said, oh, okay, so I see that it didn't get taken down because my proxy's not working for Mercari and my proxy's not working for Poshmark. So then they would go and they would reboot their computer that has the proxy on it, the Treecat proxy, the Treecat agent, and they would test it to make sure it's working, and so that everything could be operational. And in this case, this person would have had to go and manually delist their items, that the item that sold on eBay, from Mercari and Poshmark. So these notifications are very important because, they tell you what's going on. Now, they also tell you, like, for example, this person probably got this same communication from us, that the Treecat has lost communication with the agent, right? So maybe the computer got turned off, the power went out, what have you. So this will come to you via email. I get emails on my phone. I'm sure you do too, because you probably also have a smartphone. So yeah, just make sure that you have all notifications from Treecat getting sent to your email. And contact at treecat.io is where we contact you through our newsletter. And our newsletter, we often have lots of good information. We tell you about what we're going to talk about at this week's live stream. We direct you, we give you a link to this week's live stream. And it also has a bunch of information on how to contact us for support, our Reddit forum, and so forth. So it's worthwhile to get this little weekly newsletter from us. Okay, so that was one of the big things that happened, was the Cloudflare outage. The other big thing was there was a lot of stuff going on with Poshmark, and we noticed a lot of chatter online about community reports, not having to do with anybody using Treecat, but other programs with their with their automations getting flagged, people losing, getting banned, and things like that. So just out of an abundance of caution, we decided to temporarily pause our automations with Poshmark, including sharing and our 60-day delist relist. And we will retool those to make them even more conservative than they used to be. And maybe not, I don't know if we'll bring back 60-day delist relist. We might keep that on pause for we'll see. But we'll probably bring sharing back, but it will be a lot more conservative. Because sharing is still, something that has to be done at parties, right? And so yeah, so we're taking a wait and see approach. And so you would have seen this pop-up notification when you logged into Treecat. So we acted fast to make sure that our users were protected and saved and nobody's having any issues. And we didn't hear from anyone this week about them getting banned or them getting suspended or anything like that, right? So because we do things, a little bit differently than the other programs out there. We do things at the pace of a human. And the agent lives on your computer. So all the information that's happening between you and Poshmark is coming from your computer and your IP address. So anyways, so there was just a lot happening this week, right? And so make sure you keep all of your stuff, all of your communications with Treecat open. I just wanted to point out a couple of cool things that I think are happening in the world of e-commerce. And I think this is really neat what Mercari is doing. They have rebranded Black Friday to Green Friday. And they're really being aggressive with the coupons and the mystery coupons and the deals and stuff like that. Good for Mercari. I hope it brings us some more sales, because they're being really creative with their marketing, and they're really trying to get those buyers in. So for those reasons, I'm really excited to still be on Mercari. What else? Whatnot. Whatnot is doing zero commission Black Friday. So if you're a Whatnot user, you don't have to pay any commission from like 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. on Black Friday. How cool is that? And so if you're a Treecat user, you know that you're able to cross-list and migrate your data from eBay, Poshmark, Mercari to Whatnot, and it does sales detect it when it sells. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff happening. I don't know if we want to get to some questions or just let's get to some questions. We had a user who actually had a good user question that I wanted to address. We had a user who made some changes on eBay to her custom SKU. And she was like, yeah, I keep pulling syncs and it doesn't seem to be working. And she was trying to understand the different ways we migrate data and which is to be used for which thing. So let's go back to Treecat. And basically, we, in terms of what we do with Treecat is essentially it's data migration, right? So you're cross-listing, right? You're using AI autofill to cross-list items from one platform to the other platforms or the other marketplaces. And then you're clicking the list button, or you want to make sure everything's okay. You're the editor, right? You're the final editor. And then you list those items to those marketplaces. That's one form of data migration. Another form of data migration is when, let's say you make your listings outside of Treecat. You make your listings on eBay, for example, and you want those to get pulled into Treecat. Well, that happens automatically every 2 hours, and it's called inventory sync. Now, you can override the 2 hours by going to the inventory sync, clicking the filter, and clicking the marketplace that you listed your product on, and then you sync that inventory, and that's going to bring in your brand new listed items that you want to then cross list. So that's another way of doing data migration. The other way is if you made a change outside. So if you made a change outside of Treecat, like for example, I went on to eBay and I changed this item. Okay, so I just revised it. So I'm going to need to now pull that information into Treecat. And to do that, I select the item and I go to main actions, which is the little blue button on the bottom, and I select sync one item. Now that's going to bring in changes that I've made. Okay. The main inventory sync only brings in new items, but when you change items and they're not new, but they have changes to them, you go and you can multi-select, or you can do them one by one individually. In this case, I only have one that I made changes to. So you go to main actions and you say sync one item. Okay. And then you tell it which platform. So I made the changes on eBay. So then I confirm that, and it's going to pull in the changes that I made from my listing on eBay into my listing that's here on Treecat. And now I check the events to see, did it start that pull? Yes, it did. And it's telling me that today at 9:19, it fetched some items for me, right? It's doing a fetch. And so then I can click on my item and see, did it bring in the stuff that I put in there? Let's see here. Yes, I added this to I added ho 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 Merry Christmas to the description. So it's really quick with eBay to just do a sync. If you have multiple ones, you can sync them that way. Now, the third way that we do changes, or do data migration, I guess you could say, is if you make a change here in Treecat. So for example, if I want to undo this, I have to actually click editor, and I want to undo this. Then I save those changes and I do an update. And that's at the bottom here where it says actions on eBay. I say update, and I just go to eBay and I update those changes. And it's going to make those changes that I just made, which was taking out the line that said ho, 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 Merry Christmas. And it's going to make that change onto eBay. Okay, so those are the three different kinds. You've got your main sync, right, from the inventory page, your sync inventory, which is done automatically, but you can override it if you need to do it faster. You've got your making changes when you've made a change from a different platform, for example, for eBay. So you can do that. Main actions, sync the item and tell it, that it's eBay that you want. And then you've got your update. And then we have similar things for sales. So if you want to fetch, let's say, every 15 minutes, we're checking to see what's out there in terms of what you sold. If you're like, I want to override that and I want to pull that fetch right now, you go to where it says fetch sales and you say, I know that I just sold something on eBay, so I'm going to do that fetch, and it's going to pull in that item that just sold for me because I don't want to wait 15 minutes. So that's another way of migrating but that's your sales data that you're upgrading. So yeah, I just wanted to answer that question because I thought it was a really good question. Like there's confusion sometimes on how things work. So that's how that all works. Let's see. Do we have any other questions about that users brought to my attention? I think that was about it. I mean, it was just so much going on this week with the Cloudflare outage and then with all the craziness happening with Poshmark. But yeah, what I wanted to talk about was just like my blog. I called out sort of some top 10 things that might be costing you time and money. And I think manually cross listing, and this is my blog, blog.treecat.io. Let's talk about these. Manually cross listing and manually listing, without leveraging AI autofill. It's really helpful to start leveraging some of these things, and they are completely free. Well, we don't have the AI listing just yet for Treecat, but that is coming. I think they said I'll be testing it next week, so I'm very excited about that. Also, editing listings one by one. You want to make sure you're doing bulk tools and bulk update. We have that feature now, and it's really fantastic. Refreshing stagnant listings. Yeah, instead of utilizing delist relist, if you're going to do delist relist, do it on Treecat. Otherwise, it will break the link if you do it outside of Treecat, and you have to rematch everything. We do that through fast match. But I say it's just easier to do the delist relist through Treecat personally, because you can schedule it and it's free if you're cross listing. Skipping a SKU system. You'd be surprised at how many people I've met who, even big sellers, who don't really have a good organized SKU system. And so there are several ways on Treecat that you can put in information. For example, we have labels. You can make notes here. We also pull in the eBay SKU. We pull that in directly for you. Or you can put that in yourself if you're creating it on Treecat, if you're creating the listing on Treecat. So yeah, definitely make sure you have a SKU system. It's just makes your life a lot easier. Not setting up eBay business policies. That's saving you. That's definitely causing a time leak for you, because then you have to manually, set shipping for every listing. That's not fun. Ignoring sales detection and auto delisting. You don't want to double sell. And Treecat was invented with the primary focus of sales detecting and auto delisting. So, and we have a pretty robust way, like I showed you earlier, of notifying you through email when things sell. Did they actually get taken off? Because is your proxy, connected correctly, or is there something that's wrong? And if there's something that's wrong, then it's your responsibility to go and take that down. But when everything's working, it really works well. Okay, not removing backgrounds. So we also have our new white background remover, and I really think it makes a big difference having those clean, white, crisp backgrounds. It really just, in terms of getting you when you get onto Google, and just in terms of the sort of experience that the buyer sees, it just looks way more professional. And that's another free option when you're, or free item when you're cross-listing with us, because when you use one of our billable actions, like cross-listing, all the other billable actions are free to use. And so that's really cool. Not operating with a centralized inventory management system. You really do need a good centralized inventory system that lets you do all kinds of filtering so that you can find stuff. Oh, I know this was listed on eBay, but not listed on Mercari. Or, if you want to look for items that, you've already sold. So you take out the archive label, apply those filters, and then you can find items that you've already sold that maybe you want to relist, like this, some items. You can actually filter even more and, filter for specific brands or something like that. And so items that you've already sold that you want to relist, that's a possibility, because we do store those items, right, for you once they've sold and they're in our system. And so, yeah, so that's an option. Where were we? I lost my train of thought. Let's see. Skipping an inventory system that backs up your listings. Like I just said, we do have a backup of your listings. So if something happens, Poshmark loses all your listings, eBay loses all your listings, you've got a backup. You can, just relist them. And then finally, I think this, kind of goes without saying, it's a big waste of time to doom scroll retailer content. And this last week, there was a ton of like reseller content that was just toxic. So like, when panic cycles and you start seeing more gossip and, people being nasty online, take a break from all that. And because that's not driving revenue for you, right? That's a waste of your time. So those are the 10 big time and money leaking tasks that you want to watch out for. And Treecat can help you with a lot of these. Obviously, Treecat can't prevent you from doom scrolling reseller content. That was just a little, I just wanted to add that in because this week was so crazy with the doom scrolling of reseller content. But, a lot of these things, like there's a lot of good educational content out there. Cool, right? But like there are times when the reseller sphere gets really nasty, and that's when you step away. All right, guys. Well, that's all I wanted to talk about today. It's about 9:30, so I hope you have a great week, guys. And if you have any questions or need to reach out to us, you know how to contact us, right? You can go into Treecat. You can do a trouble ticket with the question mark. You can contact us at support@treecat.io, contact@treecat.io. We also have a Reddit forum, r/Treecat. So yeah, reach out if you need to. Keep the lines of communication open by making sure that you have Treecat's emails going to your inbox and not your spam. And guys, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time on Treecat Chat. Mahalo.